Hello, this is Mike Troxel with Journey Through Proverbs. It's a study that I put together as I'm working through devotionally through the book of the Proverbs, studying specifically what kind of principles will benefit you financially, will benefit you in your businesses, will benefit you in terms of leadership in your career or your community, principles that will benefit your relationships, particularly in your marriage. So I really enjoy the book of Proverbs. My favorite book, my favorite version to read from is the New Living Translation. And so that's what I'm reading from. It's what I read from in each one of these studies. Proverbs 4:23 is where we're at today. And this is what it says. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. And this is very important. Proverbs, it makes very clear that we are to guard our heart. We are to guard the avenue of our emotions. So in the Bible, a heart is a symbol of your mind. There's a number of things. The Bible talks about the mind, but it also talks about the heart. So when it distinguishes between the two, it's usually indicating that the mind, when it uses that as a term, is usually talking about the cognitive, logical thinking that we do. Whereas the heart is dealing more as the seat of the emotions, the seat of the will, the seat of our intents and purposes, our passions. And so it's still something that's a symbol of the mind, but a different aspect of our mind. So it's in this passage in Proverbs 4:23, what Solomon is telling us is to guard well our passions, our emotions, the intents of our mind, our purposes in life, the things that really drive us. And one of the things I just want to mention is that there's been a load of scientific research that demonstrates that our emotions are what guide and rule and direct our decision-making process. Even if we don't realize it, our emotions control our decisions. Our decisions are based on emotion, driven by emotion, even whether we're conscious or not of it. We can try to deny it and say that it's not, but the reality is it still is what rules or guards or directs our decision process. So have you ever had a situation where you thought that you had changed a habit and someone comes up to you and they say or do something or encounter a situation, and then you respond impulsively in a moment in a way that you hadn't responded in years, in a way you thought had changed in your life and that you would overcome? Those are indications of those responses are how emotions, even without us realizing it, how strongly and deeply they control our decision-making process and our actions. Even when we logically are wanting to do one thing, our emotions may rule and direct us to do another, make a different decision. And so what this passage deals with is guarding those emotions and training, educating them. To guard them is to kind of put a hedge, a fence around them, and to watch them. So there's a lot of study that's in the area of emotional intelligence. And this is really important because emotional intelligence really is what helps us to grow the ability to make better decisions, to function and respond better in life. Our emotional intelligence, the level of our emotional intelligence will determine the quality of the life that we live, actually. So it's very important. So educating your emotional intelligence in one area is going to affect that area, but it's going to affect other areas as well. As you grow your emotional intelligence, you're going to get better at making better decisions. So it'll be more in line, your emotions will be more in line with what you're cognitively, logically thinking you want to go as a direction. And many people, what they have in their mind, they determine they want to go do this and live this way, do a certain thing, live or act a certain way, have relationships in a certain kind of relationships, and they find themselves without realizing it falling back into patterns because their logic in their mind, what they're thinking about, dreaming about, is not in line with what the emotions are that control them and their responses. So as you educate yourself, as you grow yourself in the various areas, so let's say your finances, you know you shouldn't overspend on credit cards, you know you shouldn't be living in consumer debt, and you know that that's bad, you feel the stress, the pressure in your relationship as a result of it, in your personal life, you don't have the money you want to go do the things you want, you feel stressed when you go to the store, but yet you impulsively, when you go to shop and you have a need financially, the first thing you do is you pull out the plastic and you resort to using that instead of being creative. That's because your emotions are not educated to be in line with your logic of what you know to be the right process. And the same thing happens in relationships. There's all the areas of our life. So if you want a better, higher quality life, Solomon is giving a key. Guard your heart above all else. Guard those emotions, the passions, guard those intents and purposes, those things that are deeply rooted and controlling the direction of our life. Because it says it determines the entire course of your life. And Solomon was right. Science, psychology have all demonstrated that that's actually true. And the higher your emotional intelligence, the more you educate it, the better you will be able to make decisions that will really produce results that you're going to be happy with in your life. So grow your intelligence, feed your mind, continue to guard it, be careful, evaluate yourself regularly, take a step back, look over past mistakes, don't dwell on them, don't sit around and punish yourself and let that drive you into depression. We all make mistakes. We've done stupid. That's part of life. The reality is the difference between the winners and the losers, the people that are truly successful and those that are not, are the individuals who go back, look at where the mistake was, they learn a lesson from it, and then they apply that lesson into their present and future experiences that are similar. And the weird thing about life is that we continue in a cycle. We go over the same kind of ground over and over again. We find ourselves in similar situations, even though the environment, the people, the issues may be different. The underlying fundamental circumstance of what we're experiencing and going through is relatively the same, because our emotional intelligence drives us back to those same conclusions, even when we change our circumstances and situations. And so educating ourselves, growing ourselves is really what Solomon's talking about. He really knew what he was talking about, and it's really the value that you and I really need to take from a life. So, hey, wish you the best today. God bless you. I hope you have an outstanding day in applying this, and I hope that it's a benefit to you.